Since it's Valentine's Day, I thought I'd talk about a biblical love story between Boaz and Ruth and how it affected me in particular. Before I fully get into the video, there may be someone in the audience who's watching this who may feel particularly alone today, or maybe they've lost someone that they've really loved. And I just wanted to say something to dedicate a part of the video to that. And it reminded me of Matthew chapter 5 verse 4, where Jesus says in the Sermon on the Mount, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted." Just wanted to give a few highlights from the book of Ruth. Naomi had a husband and 2 sons, who were both married, and one of the women in which they married was called Ruth. Naomi's husband and 2 sons both died. There wasn't much left for Naomi there, so she left, but Ruth decided out of her own will to accompany her so that she wasn't alone. When Ruth went with Naomi, she worked in a field belonging to a man called Boaz. Boaz asked who Ruth was and found out that she came back from Moab with Naomi and worked all day. Boaz tells Ruth to keep working in that field and told his men not to lay a hand on her, and said to Ruth that whenever she's thirsty, she should drink the water that the men have filled. Ruth wondered why Boaz had shown her so much favour, especially as a foreigner, and Boaz said that he heard of all the things that Ruth did for her mother-in-law Naomi, and how she left her homeland to live with people that she didn't know. There's some other details in the book, but eventually Boaz married Ruth. And to hear a better summary, check out the Bible Project, and I'll add a link in the description below if you want to explore this further. Before I read the book of Ruth, I remember thinking that the one word I'd like to be associated with me in terms of my character would be kindness. And in Ruth chapter 2 verse 20, Naomi talks about how Boaz hadn't stopped showing his kindness to the living and the dead. I remember that this was really powerful for me because I think there's so many different words associated with men, but just something as simple as kindness is, I think, super inspiring. And I also think that it's really interesting to see how Boaz was both a provider and protector for Ruth before he even married her. And again, it shows the kind of person that I want to be. So I think Boaz in general is just a great biblical role model for any men who want to try and be godly in this way. And finally, I just wanted to say that it's really interesting to see how it was the compassion that Ruth showed towards Naomi by not letting her leave on her own, which is what made Boaz initially notice her. I think this is really important, and Ruth is also described as a woman of noble character, just like the Proverbs 31 woman, which shows the necessity and significance of the type of person you are and what actually attracts us to each other.